Folks, we have an impromptu Saturday afternoon stream. I was not planning on going live today, but of course, there was some shocking news where Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott have elected to elevate first round pick Maxwell Hairston to the active roster. As you know, he was activated into his 21-day practice window, and a lot of us were hopeful. In fact, I made a couple of videos on TikTok, X, what have you. I even mentioned it on a stream just 2 days ago, where I said, I really hope that the Buffalo Bills could go outside of their typical character and elevate Maxwell Hairston to get him the reps that I believe he needs so that he could be ready to go. Waiting to activate this guy for the Miami Dolphins game made literally zero sense. Activating him during the Kansas City Chiefs game, again, made zero sense in my mind. The game to do it was the Carolina Panthers, where you could throw him out there for 20, 30% of the snaps, just go on ahead and get the rust knocked off of him, and then you end up rolling him out against Rashee Rice, against Hollywood Brown, maybe against Xavier Worthy. I am so happy that the Buffalo Bills ended up going outside of character for that. Absolutely nuts, man. Happy Saturday on the stream. Folks, as you're coming in, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up sign. It's the easiest way to show love over here on the channel. And I also ask each and every single one of you to roll call in the chat. Where are you tuning in from? I am nosy. I want to know how far Bills Mafia truly extends. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Do not be shy, folks. I need to go ahead and give a giant shout out, of course, to our good friends over at Garage Beer. Folks, say, for example, you are looking for a new beer to enjoy. You might as well go ahead and get some beer, tasting beer. Shout out to Garage Beer, man. They've been a proud partner all season long. We have a hotline that is associated with this beer each and every single game or post-game reaction. So shout out to Garage Beer. Next time you're in the grocery store and you just so happen to run across a case, I highly recommend you pick one up. And yeah, give it a try because it is absolutely beautiful, my friend. It is right. I am not lying, folks. Maxwell Hairston is now officially official. He is on the 53-man roster, shocking just about everybody. All right, man, let's talk about this. Let's go. Alfred, New York is in the building. Jamestown is in the building. Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Conway, South Carolina. I was from Myrtle Beach for a while. I went to Coastal Carolina University, so I'm familiar with Conway. Washington, Miami, Buffalo. You predicted it too. Hey, man, listen, you know what? Sometimes a broke clock is right twice a day. Am I right? Rochester, New York is in the building. New Hampshire, Fort Worth, Texas, Buffalo, New York. We got Queens in the building. We have Go Bills from North Brunswick, New Jersey, behind enemy lines. I'm just glad you're rocking with us today, man. Bangladesh is in the building. JK, LA, and Go Dodgers. What's up, Dan? Living the dream. Trying to, my friend. Ontario, New York is in the building, man. Look at that. Bob is in. Dude, Bob, I thought your name was Prison Mike. Look at that, man. I like it. Go Bills, Rotterdam, New York. Rap is on the IR, though. He is Atlanta, Georgia. Brighton, New York. All right, perfect. So, guys, first off, I appreciate you tapping in on this random Saturday. This is typically my only day off, but I had to hop on live. I absolutely had to, because what made it interesting was directly after the bye, we saw two players get added to the IR and one player get released from the Buffalo Bills organization. Two of those open spots were given to Larry Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt, leaving one spot open for a Buffalo Bill player to be sort of added to said roster. Then yesterday we hear that Taylor Rapp was added to the IR with some phantom knee injury for some odd reason. So we saw two open roster spots on this team, and we brought up this question. We were just like, okay, who is this roster spot for? Could it be for Jordan Poyer? I mean, yeah, right? Like we need a solution to safety since Taylor Rapp is no longer out on the field. We're thin in that department. But then we started realizing, we were saying, well, Poyer still technically has 2 times that he could be elevated from the practice squad. So why would we go on ahead and sign him to the roster now? That really doesn't make a lot of sense. So the only other possible answer was Maxwell Hairston. I highly doubt that we would have traded for somebody about 2 days before a game thinking that he would be activated to the roster and he would be able to really put a big impact into a matchup. So Maxwell Hairston made all the sense in the world, at least on paper. But we know Sean McDermott, right? When you miss out on valuable reps in training camp, we thought we saw the writing on the wall. Like, we thought that Sean was going to make this man go as close to his 21-day practice window as humanly possible and roll him out there against the Miami Dolphins. None of us wanted this to happen because we think that that is just wasting the young man's sort of valuable reps that he could have been taken. But, I mean, rest be assured, we wanted this to happen, folks. But I feel like a lot of us are shocked that Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott decided to pull the trigger on this one. Like, maybe it has to do with the sense of desperation. Maybe they don't want Trey White, and so to be our CB2 for the next couple of weeks, especially with Kansas City coming along. But my theory is this. I genuinely believe that Maxwell Hairston is going to be a big part of the game plan versus the Kansas City Chiefs in 2 weeks. So I think they're activating him on Carolina so that he can knock some rust off. He can get some valuable reps against Tet McMillan. I said McMillan. Tet McMillan / Xavier Legette. I think this is perfect for the young man. 20, 30% of the snaps, I'm completely fine with. Make a couple of plays for us, too. If this guy goes out there and picks off Andy Dalton, I think all of us are about to be thrilled with this. But, I mean, look at that, dude. Mad Max, he's good. He spent about maybe 3 or 4 days on the 21-day practice window. I think we should all be thrilled. We have so hyped for him to get his feet wet against the Carolina Panthers. Again, I do think it's going to be situationally, but me too. Man, throw him out there ready to go against Kansas City. I'm not going to say that he's going to get the best of Xavier Worthy or some of their speedy receivers in KC. Oh, but damn, I at least want to see this man go stride for stride against them. I really, really do. God, man, I got a smile on my face this Saturday. Things are fantastic. Shocked, but I love it. Get him some game action. I totally agree. And do they make this move to see if they need a cornerback before the deadline, in my opinion? Yeah, sure, but I really think it's coming from a place. It's really coming from a place where I think that they want him to get ready for Kansas City. Because our secondary has been struggling a little bit, and I think a lot of it can be resorted into the performance from Trey White, unfortunately. Scott has come in. I'm happy that he's activating going out there, but I'm still nervous that he might re-injure it because we are too short at cornerback. So I don't think that the coaching staff is concerned, right? If you should be concerned at all about Maxwell Hairston, it should not be about his health because, like, this kid has had 3 months off for a knee sprain. He looked good based off of all the videos that I saw. The thing you should be worried about is that he's nowhere near brought up to speed with our playbook and how this defense operates as a cohesive unit. That's what you should be worried about. Because say that his injury was that bad, or say that he was that behind schedule, he wouldn't have been activated from the IR in the first place. Say that it was that bad, he would still be sitting on the IR right now, and we would not have even started his 21-day practice window. So the health of the knee, and so barring just a huge example of irresponsibility from our training staff, he's probably good. So I wouldn't be all that concerned about it at the end of the day. Cody, my boy's in the building. What's going on, man? How you doing? Are you surprised if he's a healthy scratch tomorrow? I don't think that we would have elevated him to the roster if he were to be a healthy scratch. And so I really, really don't. Then I feel like it probably would have been a waste. So I think he is going to be active. I don't see him really playing a ton, like not unless like White's getting absolutely destroyed out there, but we'll probably see about 30% of the snaps. I'm happy about that. At Carolina Tailgate right now, area is filled with Bills Mafia. Jack, what is going on, my friend? What is going on, man? Dude, have a great time. Have a great time. I will be living vicariously through you. So Ravens season is pretty much over with Lamar out another week. I know. It's rough, man. 1-6, and it's all done. Good game to get him some reps before the big fight versus the Chiefs, and all eyes will be on him. It's exciting to finally see the guy we all hyped up since April. And quite frankly, I kind of forgot he was on this team at one point, which makes it even crazier. And between Hairston, sprinkled in Poyer, Hoyt, and Ogunjobi, I think the defense will have a little different look and feel to it tomorrow. I am expecting improvements in several areas from this defense tomorrow. So I do think that while Dowdle and Hubbard probably will have their share of some decent runs, I don't think it's going to feel quite as bad as the Bijan Robinson / the Derrick Henry game. And so I think that we're going to walk away from this being like, okay, it's not perfect, but this run defense does look a little better at least. I think that we walk away from this game with that. Number two, I do think it's going to be nice to see how Max Hairston plays during some of his situational matchups. Is he getting burnt, right? Like, is he in the right place at the right time as we sort of implement our zone schemes, right? So super excited about that. Hey, Dan, open up the phone lines. Clay Stevenson, man. I open up the phone lines after games. So it's typically the post-game reaction on Monday. It's going to happen, man. It's going to happen. Don't worry. The Garage Beer hotline is open for every single post-game reaction the Monday following each and every single game. I don't buy this not caught up on the playbook BS. He's been with the team every day. He knows the plays. And let's be honest, we run a basic and predictable zone D, physical versus mental reps for sure. So knowing the playbook and executing the playbook are two different things. So I think it is more of a physical versus a mental thing. So, especially with how fast-paced the NFL is compared to college football, like by no means am I questioning this young man's football acumen. I'm sure that he knows it in and out, but it's actually executing on it is an entire different story. I'm very intrigued to see how he does on Sunday, and my expectations are sky high. I am excited to see this Bills defense in action tomorrow. You and me both. Off topic, but when do you see us making any sort of trade at all? According to rumors, we're interested in trading for a safety or a wide receiver. So normally the trade deadline is always at its hottest on the day of November 4th or the day before. Like that's when teams start to pull the trigger. For me, it's tough to find a safety that really, first off, we could afford. And then number two, someone that I think that would be a better option. As much as we love hating on Jordan Poyer, I can tell you this, guys, he's better than Taylor Rapp. He's going to be better than Taylor Rapp. And then perhaps Jordan Hancock can develop as well. As far as safeties that I would love to welcome to this team, wildly expensive and out of our price range, unfortunately. What are your thoughts on the Brian Thomas Jr. rumors? Is it true that the Jags are listening to offers for Brian Thomas Jr.? Yes. Yes, as a matter of fact. And you know what? While I wanted to celebrate the return of Maxwell Hairston, I know a lot of Bills fans were excited about the potential of Brian Thomas Jr. Per Diana Rossini, the Jacksonville Jaguars are taking calls on Brian Thomas Jr. That does not mean he's going to go anywhere. That just means that they are taking calls to at least allow themselves to be humored. Like, what exactly would this guy be worth? So he's on the trade block. If, for example, somebody can send over a handsome package. Now, I did end up making a tweet about Brian Thomas Jr., which I think you guys might find pretty interesting here. But let's go ahead and take a look. With Brian Thomas Jr., as many of you guys know, he is currently on his rookie contract. Most of his cap hits moving forward are at around $3 million. Some of it was a signing bonus since he was a first-round pick. So if Buffalo were to successfully trade for a wide receiver like this, we would acquire about $533,000 in cap. Currently, right now, we're sitting at $2.7 million. So we would be able to afford it immediately. And the following year in 2026, we would acquire about $2.1 million in cap. And get this, we could still exercise a fifth-year option for the young man if necessary. Okay? So it makes sense. But why in the hell is a former first-round pick, last year's first-round pick, why in the hell is he on the trade block? if at all, it probably has something to do with this. And I kind of want you guys to sort of be lead investigators and see whether or not that it's worth it, right? Half of the reason why I think that this is even being entertained by Jacksonville is due to his regression from his first year and going into his second year throughout 7 games. On the left column in the 2024 season and in the 2025 season, you can see massive drop-offs in a lot of categories that made him so electric last year for Jacksonville, right? He had 45 targets. He caught 30 of them through his first 7 games in 2024, where he's had 55 targets in 2025 and has only caught 27 of them. Okay, so that's not particularly a good rate. That's a 49.1% catch percentage compared to where he was last year at 66.7. He has about 148 less receiving yards as well. And a lot of Jacksonville Jaguars fans are upset with the fact that it appears that he's hearing footsteps when he gets into the middle of the field or anytime he gets targeted in the middle. And then also you have to end up looking at his drops. He's second in the league right now for total drops at 6. Now, many of you know that I am not a Trevor Lawrence fan. And one thing that I ultimately ended up doing, because I feel like you guys would be, or y'all would be interested in this at least, is with Trevor Lawrence has also taken a pretty significant step back. As far as off-target throws, unfortunately, we have seen 49.1% of the time was an off-target throw to BTJ opposed to his 65.1, like back in 2024. So I feel like why Brian Thomas Jr. has sort of taken a step back this year is maybe a mix of Liam Cohn trying to utilize him in a completely different way that, of course, what Doug Peterson tried having him do last year. And then I also think that it has to do with the regression of Trevor Lawrence. I have never been a Trevor Lawrence guy. And like it or not, as soon as when you end up getting into like that realm of a brand new head coach, like you'll see them in the first year go about the season with the personnel that they inherited, but then eventually clean house and bring in the personnel that works their scheme. So I could very much see this guy being on the chopping block if Liam Cohn doesn't believe that he could be utilized the way that he sees fit. So I wouldn't be all that shocked at the end of the day. We have Brian Thomas Jr. has the exact skill set we're missing. I'd happily give up a first round for him. That move puts us back in the conversation with Kansas City in the AFC. It's funny, too, because you know what? In last year's draft, we had Brian Thomas Jr. was the wide receiver I wanted the Buffalo Bills to get. And so I wanted us to trade up and get Brian Thomas Jr., right? And then if Brian Thomas Jr. wasn't there, I wanted Ladd McConkey terribly. So now we can right the ship. And sending over a first round for a player like this, who is established to be a well over 1,000-yard wide receiver, a wide receiver 1, and granted, it's probably a limited sample size, especially at his age. He stayed healthy for the most part. I'm pretty sure he's injured this week. But, yeah, I feel like that's worth a first-round pick if you were to ask me. I want Olave or Waddle more, to be honest with you. Yeah, dude, listen. So would I. But here's the deal. Would you say the Dolphins and Jets are desperate enough? Or excuse me. So the Dolphins are desperate enough to trade over their star wide receiver to a divisional rival. We would need to pay a crazy tax for it, right? And so as far as Olave, like great, but dude is literally in line with Tua as far as so the concussion side of things. So dude has had several concussions. He's probably about a concussion away from retiring. So I think if Brian Thomas Jr. like would make sense, I totally would make it happen. Trading for a player isn't the answer, and the problem is coaching and play calling both sides of the football. So I feel like bringing in some more talent on the personnel side is going to elevate what we can do from a play calling perspective. We have Keon is all right. Khalil Shakir is good. Josh Palmer, in my opinion, is our best wide receiver, but he has a good catch during the game versus the Falcons. We need a wide receiver that demands the ball. It's deeper than just Trevor. The concerns with BTJ goes back to this offseason where his struggles were regularly noted by Jags beat writers. It's easy to excuse mistakes when it isn't your guy. I'm going to have to read those. What about Calvin Ridley? Pass on that. He's 33 years old. I feel like we need some youth in here. And like he would just be another wide receiver 3 for us. Hey, Dan, I got in late, but I would say that we should use Hairston. Gotta have it plays. For sure. I totally agree. Question, if we could pull off a Brian Thomas Jr. trade without having to include Keon, what impact would a trade like this have on the development of Keon? So I feel like Keon was never drafted to be a wide receiver number 1. I feel like Keon was drafted to be a Gabe Davis replacement, right? Somebody that could catch contested balls. He hasn't really been good at that. But I do think that Keon Coleman would be a hell of a lot better out of the slot. So perhaps we can use him as a big slot a bit more and not target him like he's a wide receiver number 1. He was never intended to be a wide receiver number 1. We have Chris Olave is the player I want and just not a Coleman guy. He might be okay, but he doesn't fit what Josh does well. So Chris Olave does. A healthy Palmer, Olave, and Shakir is a much better core. I trade Coleman. Interesting. We have, okay. With the Olave concussion issues, for me, puts BTJ well ahead of Olave on my wish list. Like, look, feel free to go on ahead and roll the dice on Olave. I would love Olave on this team. His skill set is incredible. He's the man. But, he's literally one concussion away from calling it a career. So that's my only concern, I think, that I've had thus far. The problem is that Bean only hits on 15% of his draft picks. 15% in the first round. 3rd through 6th, he's built this entire roster through these middle rounds, man. He's built this entire roster from the middle rounds. But first round picks for sure. And that much I can agree with you. Coleman isn't better than BTJ. No one's saying that. Listen, we had Diggs, a top receiver for 4 years, and still didn't make the Super Bowl. It's coaching 100%, not talent. So what would you do to fix this team? So just fire the coaches right now when we're 4-2. So I think what a good fix right now is just, having a player come in. And so one more wide receiver that could open up everybody else. And so I feel like that's the best thing that we can do at this point. Bills are not good at making big moves and game-changing decisions. It's propaganda. We need a guy like BTJ to open up the field for Coleman, and people forget that Coleman is 21 years old, for sure. And so I don't think that Coleman is a bad player. I just don't think he's a wide receiver number 1. And so I think that he could be a great contested catch guy. He could be a great big slot. That's basically where we're at. Who do you think we should trade for to help Josh in the offense? So I'd be fine with Olave, and so I'd be fine with Waddle. I don't think it's going to happen, but Waddle would be cool. Same thing with Brian Thomas Jr. would be pretty cool too. But let's see. My wide receiver wish list is 1 BTJ, 2 Garrett Wilson, 3 Waddle, 4 Olave. Oh, my God. Let's see. Bills got to learn how to trade up in the draft and take risks. Risk-taking is the Bills' biggest problem. Well, so a trade up, so it does require 2 parties, right? So it does require 2 parties. It's not easy to trade up without putting in a haul, right? And plus, so the draft is a crapshoot. It's an absolute crapshoot. Soon as when you get past the 15th overall pick, folks, it's basically a glorified 2nd round pick. It's no shock that Brandon Beane doesn't hit on first rounds because we haven't had a top 15 pick in God knows how long. And even after 10 is a crapshoot, right? And the only time we ever did end up having a good first round draft pick was Josh Allen. Maybe you could say Ed Oliver too. But again, he was, and so he was up there, right? So it's really not much of a shock to me. It's not really much of a shock to me that Buffalo, right, has struggled with first round picks. And so I have high hopes for Max. He's fast and moves very good. I don't understand why people are hating on Curtis Samuel. I think he's just getting, he just isn't getting targeted. Why isn't he getting targeted though, right? Fire Sean McDermott, same thing every year, but it never changes. I Live Tanks is coming on in. I would not fire him now. It's he's 4-2. He's 4-2. And so we want to pull a Jets and fire our head coach in the middle of the season. I'll pass. It's thought to trade up because the Bills pick too late because of where they finish. For sure, guys, look, struggling in the first round is part of the game. It's part of the game, dude. Right? So when you have a good team, like it's rare for you to have a consistent amount of first round draft picks. It's just how it is. Dan, thanks for responding to a lot of my comments. I appreciate learning from you and the insight you have to offer. No problem, man. I appreciate you coming on in. Not going to fire McDermott halfway through the season and replace with who? Yeah, for sure. Look, say that you want McDermott gone. I mean, that's fine. But don't think that this team is going to fire him when they have a winning record, right? Or this season in general. It's just not going to happen. Fire Sean and get who? People are crazy. Must win tomorrow. That's what I'm saying. Max playing against the Panthers is a great first game for him, for sure, dude. So line up Max Hairston on so Xavier Legette. So you line him up against Coker. Maybe you line him up against Tet. Besides the fact that he has a huge size advantage, and so with Tet is, I think he runs a 4.6 40. So I think Max would be able to go stride for stride, but we'll see. Let me see. If Bean only made 2 trades, one on offense and one on defense, who do you want Bean to trade for? We only have enough for one player, in my opinion. So one player, in my opinion, is all that we have. So I think it's only going to be a wide receiver. I just think Brady has to make some adjustments in his play calling going forward. No one saw him coming last year. Yeah, sure. You know, he has a lot of wide receivers on limited route trees, especially Keon Coleman. And so dude runs 2 routes. That's it, right? And this dumbass end around type play. Let's see some creativity on Sunday. Let's hope for the best. And so I have a feeling that we're going to be happy campers. That's what I'm talking about. But all right, guys, a special Saturday episode, impromptu. I have some steaks on the smoker right now. So I got to go on ahead and check those and enjoy some college football at the house. As always, I will be live tomorrow for my live play-by-play reaction. I'm giving away this signed Thurman Thomas helmet during halftime of my live play-by-play reaction. If, for example, you want to be eligible to win this, folks, it's a very simple process. You must be a subscriber to this YouTube channel. You must like this video, and you must be present during halftime of my live play-by-play reaction right here on YouTube. I'm just going to be picking somebody random from the live chat at halftime, so do not miss out on that. And so I love each and every single one of you, and I'll see you next time. Peace.